This Hangout on Air is live. Welcome to results on a Rampage on D+1, 1 day past where we meant to hold it. But hey, whatever happens, happens. You know, those fun things happen. We actually are now back in Arizona, as should be evidenced by the fact that I'm sweating, right? Because it is 90-something here. And when we left, as I tried to tell you yesterday, holding the Hangout from where I was in the middle of Utah, we had snow all the way from Edmonton to the U.S. border. So it was hysterical. It was a beautiful summer, nice summer, and I guess they're going to have some more good days. But the send-off for us to have us leave our Alberta 6-week vacation was snow. So it snowed from Edmonton all the way to Calgary, and then from Calgary to Lethbridge, and Lethbridge to the border, and we crossed the U.S. border, just barely escaping the snow. We got to Montana. They told us there at the hotel in Helena that it was expected to snow the next day. So it was on the way south. I don't know if it did because, of course, we didn't hang around to watch. Anyway, so here we are. Promised to do this again because this is an important topic about failure. This is a problem and process that everybody goes through. So nobody should feel like they are the Lone Ranger when it comes to failure. I'm adjusting my camera slightly. And failure is a good thing. So the point of this Hangout, we got 3 things to cover. Why failure is an important part of success. And what is failure anyway? Learn to fail fast, fail forward, and bounce back. Those are the 3 things we're going to talk about today. So why is failure a part of success? Well, this may seem either obvious or it may seem counterintuitive, but until you have failed a number of times, success isn't as sweet as it could be. Success is much sweeter when you've gone through the struggle of building it, when you've gone through the struggle of making things work that didn't want to work, of pushing things past their boundaries and limits. Ask any athlete who's competed a number of times and come in no place, or 4th place, or 9th place, or 2nd place, and then finally wins something. Doesn't matter what it is. The feeling of having completed that is good. And it isn't just so much about winning and beating everyone else. It's about having done the best. It is about having done what you meant to do, completed what you meant to complete. So failure is a part of success for several reasons. One is it feels different when you learn to win after you have not been able to complete it, failed. The other thing that failure does is it is a great teacher. Okay? If you go out, if I go out and I succeed right away at something, I do not learn anywhere near what I learned when I fail first several times. And I'll tell you why that is. When you succeed right away, it's like, I've seen this a lot in the music business. As many of you know, I've been in the recording business for 35 years. When a band or a vocalist or instrumental succeeds right away, they don't really understand the business or what it takes. And then when that success doesn't stay there, if they have to struggle, then it becomes like what happened, and it's this epic failure feeling, this total disaster. It's the same way in business. If someone rises up the corporate ladder really quickly and they become extremely successful immediately, oh, Joy's giving me a thing to wipe my face off with. You achieve success immediately. When it later becomes a struggle or promotions don't keep coming, it's like, you know, a total deflation, a total letdown. So failure is a key part of understanding how life works. And anyone that has built one or more businesses know that. And we're going to talk about some of the things that we learn from failure. So the first principle is simply that failure is an important part of success. Success is sweeter when you failed a few times first. Failure is a great teacher. The obvious example we all use all the time is Edison, with 10,000 efforts to make a light bulb. He said he didn't fail 10,000 times. He learned 10,000 ways not to make a light bulb. So let me give you a personal example that happened to me today that's kind of funny, and it was a little bit of a heart wrencher at the same time. So a few weeks ago, I did a Hangout with somebody that is, many of you know, I was in the energy industry, electricity, for 30 years, right? And I was at C-level executive positions, high-level positions in the U.S. and Canada. So one of my private clients, is opening and running an energy company in Canada, and he asked me to do a Hangout with him, and so we did, maybe three weeks ago. And we talked about the future of the Alberta electricity market. They've deregulated up there, and so they have some different rules apart from the regular utility kind of situation. So we did a hangout, and I talked about my opinions and thoughts about the future of the electricity market and the things that had not been done well and that were still broken in the market and so forth. So today, after the video's been up for a while, my friend spoke with me, and he said that we'd gotten this absolutely rancid, rabid hate mail, a comment on the YouTube video raging about me, personal attacks on me, personal attacks on Dave, and saying that we were not involved in it anymore, we knew nothing about it, and everything else. So that brought up all of this emotion for me because I had been out of it. You know, I retired from that position in 2007, but it was done also anonymously, so the person that did it didn't leave their name either. The funny part, so here's this, I've been asked in 2 weeks, I think, about a little over 2 weeks, to come back to Alberta and speak at the Alberta Power Summit. So I'm going to be one of the speakers on the first day of the Alberta Power Summit and talk about the very same thing, the future of the electricity market in Alberta. So here's the, and that, you know, brought up all kinds of stuff for me. You know, are people going to chase me off the stage with pitchforks and whatever, right? So I'm seeing all these, this possible stuff happen, and so it brings up the same kind of feeling that failure or the prospect of failure might bring for anybody. What the fun thing I did here was that the organizer of the conference, after publishing my name in the program, has had to look for a larger venue. And oh, Joy says my nose is bloody. Huh. I don't know. All right. Well, anyway, the organizer has had to look for a larger venue because ticket sales have exceeded expectations. So this ought to be interesting. I expect to be a lot of media coverage and so forth. What that has to do with failure is because I've been out for a while, all of the prospects and issues around that come up, and the personal attack is unethical, unwarranted, not true, and a bunch of other stuff. But it still, you know, shows, you know, brings up a lot of holy cow. You know, this is really sensitive and really interesting. So I'm looking forward to it. Bottom line is I'm really, really looking forward to it. But failing is, and the prospect of failure and all of those kinds of things are part of success and shouldn't be feared in any way. So let's talk about why. Okay, so the next thing is, why is failure a good thing? Why is failure a good thing? Well, we talked about some of the reasons. It makes success sweeter. Okay, and the piece that we did talk about just a little bit is it's a great teacher. But what I wanted to talk about now is, what is this failure thing? We call it failure when what? When something doesn't meet our exact expectations, when something doesn't go like we wanted it to. So I see Joy popping in and out. I was going to ask her, and Griswold, I don't want to pick on you, so I won't unless you want to say something. But my question is, for both of you, is what is failure anyway? So define failure for me. Let's talk about that in the broadest sense, because it carries this emotional baggage and this feeling that somehow we suck when we fail at something. So I want to say, you know, what is failure? What is that? Any comments? Nope. All right.
Well,
oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, for me, failure is an indication that you're trying, so it's positive in that regard, but it's not meeting the goals you want, and ultimately failure is when you can't pursue the goal anymore because you give up or you just other things overwhelm you.
So that's really good. There's two parts to that. Failure in the first place, we define it as not meeting the goal. Okay, so what is failure? Failure is not meeting the goal we meant to. But failure, ultimate failure, doesn't happen until you quit trying. So, you know, I have failed at many things. The first times I tried to do music, put out first albums, first songs, weren't particularly good. I had to do that a lot, work on, the first time I tried to work with clients, music in the studio, you know, were iffy, a lot of struggle, a lot of working to make things exactly up to their expectations. All of us go through that curve. We don't really fail. We don't really fail till we quit. Okay, we don't really fail until we quit. So the first thing to think about and write down is, you haven't failed until you quit trying. Failure is a teacher. Failure is a hallmark that the particular effort you've made to do that isn't going to give you the result you want. But ultimately, failure is a data point, and we have saddled it with this baggage that often carries this emotional baggage about that it reflects on us somehow. So if you get a test back and you fail, somehow that reflects on you personally. It means that you somehow are worth less, that you somehow don't count, that you somehow suck in a way that is not healthy. And so often, particularly with entrepreneurs, if you know, things don't go well right away, they take it as a reflection on them personally, that they somehow are unworthy, that they somehow don't have what it takes, or that kind of languaging that's actually not true. If every person who failed took that a point of view, we would never have any world records broken, we would never have any great masterpieces painted, we would never have any great concertos either written or performed, we would never have any great leaders come forward and do great things either in the world or in communities or so forth. So failure is simply a growth process. It is a data point that the particular path we chose didn't get us to the intended outcome. Sometimes that's because of something we did or didn't do. Sometimes because it's circumstance. If I misread the data, or the data changed, or the situation changed, or the circumstance changed, it may not have given me the outcome I intended, and it has nothing to do with either what I intended to do or my level of effort. It has to do with the fact that the circumstance changed. So let's talk about a specific example about that, because Results on a Rampage is also, particularly my LA Talk radio show, is about entrepreneurs. And if you're marketing right now in your business and you're using old school marketing, it's because, and it's not working, it's because the market has changed. People look for stuff online. They don't use the same kind of marketing or search engines they used to use. We used to use Yellow Pages in the studio back in the day. I remember using that. So if I use that now and it doesn't work, the answer is, wow, has nothing to do with my business, has nothing to do with how good my studio is or what the work is that we might do there. It has to do with the fact that I'm using something that's outdated. So as a data point, failure is really, really valuable. It's a valuable piece of market feedback that the particular path I tried doesn't work. So first of all, we have to disconnect it from any personal reflection. Okay, has nothing to do with you personally, or nothing to do with me personally when you're talking about business. So it's a data point, and it says, all right, I need to make an adjustment in my approach. One of the things that we do regularly in marketing is we test avatars. So you'll create a marketing message for a particular avatar, and nobody signs up. It doesn't resonate. Okay, so then you change your headline, you change the subhead, you change the copy, the body copy, or you change the video, or you change the gift, that's the opt-in lead magnet. Whatever it is, you keep doing what we call split testing in marketing that everyone's familiar with. And if you take the point of view that your product is not good right away, or if you take the point of view that somehow you're not good, then of course you're never going to get your business off the ground. All right, so the third piece that I wanted to put it here, but before I do this, I want to ask another question here. One of the points I put on the bullets today was, why is failure a good thing? I can give you some really good examples of why failure is a good thing. I can take one out of music, and then I'll ask Joy if she's got any, if she's back on, or Griswold if you want to. Again, I don't want to pick on you. Failure in music, let me give you an example of a songs that I have written, and I've had problems. Well, I had a problem. So I did a mix on a jazz song that I wrote. So I did a jazz song, I did a mix, and something about the mix failed. The phase was out of alignment, so it ended up a mono mix instead of a stereo mix. And so I wasted several hours, used it up, and I had to do it all over again. I had to do the entire mix again. I could have viewed that as a terrible failure. In fact, as soon as I figured it out, it was like, I just spent, X hours doing this, and I got to do it again. The upside was, doing it again, I had several new good ideas for the mix, and the song turned out much better. So failure was a good thing in that regard, and in the process, I learned some new things about mixing, about music, about sound shaping, and some studio techniques that I was able to use very effectively. So that was a particular personal example of where failure turned out to be a good thing for me. I learned a lot in the process, and my skills got enhanced in the way. If I'd taken a negative view of that, then I might never have remixed it. I'd have said, forget it. And so that was a positive thing that turned out for me. Joy came in and out another time or two. Griswold, do you have anything to say on that? Why failure is a good thing, an example? Nope. Okay, that's cool. Let's move on to the third thing. The third thing is learn to fail fast, fail forward, and bounce back. So failure is a great teacher. He teaches you what doesn't work. Failure is not a reflection on you. It's not a reflection on, it is absolutely a reflection on what you did. What you did didn't give you the intended outcome. What we do is we turn that into some kind of a judgment on character or a judgment on a person. You know, it is simply a data point on an outcome that did or didn't happen. So that's fine. So let's talk about the way to take failure and make it a real positive thing for you. I call it that fail fast, fail forward, and bounce back. Now, I didn't invent those terms. There are many mentors that talk about failing fast or failing forward. So let's first talk about failing fast. What is failing fast? Well, one of the things that we do is we're sometimes afraid to take action. We're afraid because we're afraid of failure. We call that fear of failure. A lot of people have that. I certainly personally have struggled with that in performance, and I've told a number of stories about that, so I won't repeat them here. But I have struggled with the fear of failure, and it has kept me from taking action sometimes. It has kept me locked away from doing something that I really wanted to do because I was afraid I would either be ridiculed, I was afraid that I would feel bad, I was afraid that you know, I would fail and therefore feel bad about myself, again going into the judgment mode. So failing fast requires, and what it means is, try right away. Just keep moving through. Dump the whole notion that failure is a judgment and simply understand that it is a data point, a valuable market data point for you, and fail fast. So what that means is quit worrying about the judgment aspect, quit worrying about anything except gathering data. So overcome the fear, overcome the sort of withholding that drives, and fail fast as view that as a positive thing, because the faster you fail, the faster you can collect data points about what doesn't work and narrow your marketing, if you're in business, and narrow your personal change, if that's what you're working on, down to what does work. So failing fast simply means overcoming the natural fear that we have. It means being willing to do what we talked about on another one, ready, fire, steer, and just move it forward, and when things don't work out like you intended it, accept that as a data point, make an adjustment, and move on. All right. The second one that I wanted to talk about is failing forward. Joy, I see you've joined us, so I haven't had a chance to hear from you. Do you want to make a comment about any of those original ones about what failure is or why it's a good thing?
Okay. You know, I guess I don't know if this is quite failure, but years ago, you know, I used to be in multi-level marketing with, you know, cosmetics, jewelry, all that kind of stuff. And so, you know, in direct sales, you know, it's really a recipe that you're going to get rejected, and failure is just a given. So, I'm telling you.
Yeah. Sorry.
But anyway, I always remember, like, when I went and saw Brian Tracy years and years and years ago, he had said something interesting. He said, you know, each no you get is one step closer to a yes. So, you know, the idea of, you know, failing fast and getting, okay, you're going to be rejected, you know you're going to get no's. I mean, that's just so, it's almost an infantile, you know, attitude that nobody's ever going to say no to us, or we're never going to fail. You know, I mean, if you're two, okay, but, you know, as adults, I don't know, we still carry this crap around with us. And, you know, so, you know, Brian Tracy said, every no is a step closer to a yes. So the sooner you get the no's out of the way, the sooner you fail, the sooner, you know, you can move on to the yeses. You know, I mean, everybody has to pass through this. Nobody is immune. Donald Trump has had lots of no's, and any actor who has ever won any kind of awards, I mean, they just didn't land on the planet and suddenly they have success. You know, they've failed, and some of them miserably and terribly, turned down roles that have, you know, made other people billionaires. Whatever, it doesn't matter. In our own little world, you know, to think that we're somehow immune to it, or we're not worthy, or we're, you know, not worth something because of we've had a failure in our life is poppycock and nonsense.
So thank you. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, just to get it out of the way, keep moving forward. But you have to have that healthy self-esteem to know that it's not just me as a human being, but it's kind of the stuff that I'm putting out there, and good, bad, otherwise, or ugly. Who cares?
So failing fast is, I like that, because what that tells me is every no is one step closer to a yes. That's something I've heard you say a lot, and it's something that has certainly helped me, and it is really a numbers game. So we're talking specifically about business. This is very appropriate for people that are in direct sales, whether it's multi-level marketing or any kind of direct sales, because every no is one step closer to a yes. That is truly a numbers game, and the more people you talk to, the sooner you're going to get to those that need your product or service. Any sales is like that. The key piece here is each data failure is really important to collect information. So a question that depends on the circumstance, but you can easily ask is, I realize that the time for this transaction's passed. We're not going to do this, and that's fine. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for the opportunity. But could you tell me what it was that made you decide not to do this? What it was that made you decide this wasn't a fit? And do it in a way that's open so that they will tell you, well, I didn't think it was right for me, or I don't really trust that this will solve my problem, or it really, really was too much money and I was kind of out of my league and getting in there anyway, or whatever the real answer is. Try to collect that data, because walking away and assuming the reason that they actually don't buy from you is a mistake. Unless they told you. But sometimes after the pressure is off, after the situation is completely calmed down, you simply say, look, I know we're not going to do this deal now. It's great, no problem, but can you help me understand what would have made this a yes for you? What would have made this work for you? Because it seemed like this product might be a fit for your need. So you didn't, you chose not to, and that's fine. What would it have tipped to balance? What would have changed that? So that is one way to actually actively collect the data about what is holding people back. That data can be really valuable in terms of helping you change your presentation, helping you change your approach, or helping you change your attitude. One of the most important things for me in helping me get the right attitude is I do not think of sales as convincing people that they need my stuff. That isn't sales. That's hucksterism. Maybe I'm solving their problem elegantly and maybe I'm not, but if the act is me convincing them they need this, by definition, that's what makes me jaded. That's what makes me angry at salesmen. That's what makes me not want to talk to them. So instead what I do is and what I teach is to listen very carefully and thoroughly, ask a lot of questions so that you thoroughly understand the issue, and then serve that person in a way that no one else will. If you take the attitude of serving that potential prospect in a way that no one else will, the sale or the exchange of money that happens afterward, whoops, my chairs just went funny on me, is almost an afterthought, because what you're actually doing is serving the need. You're actually solving the real problem in a way that is elegant and powerful for the person's issue. So sales is not about convincing somebody you need that thing, and that's, I'm sure we've all experienced that. People that do water softeners door to door, in the old days it used to be encyclopedias, vacuum cleaners, the whole door to door approach, get in under any pretext, use a lot of pressure and those kinds of techniques to convince you, and then you're sitting there with a contract that you don't know if you need it or not, and you have this squirmy feeling in your stomach. Nobody likes that. Not the person buying, and certainly not the person selling. So if you completely change your mind about how that works and think about service, then it's less of an issue. All right, so failing fast means overcoming the issue of fear and moving forward. Failing forward is an approach to failure or not succeeding, and I keep using the word failure, 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 failure all the way through this, and it sounds like we're rejoicing in failure. So let's take a moment and rejoice in failure. Okay, fine. Failing forward means intentionally taking each no or each thing that didn't happen as a positive step. Okay, it is a step closer to a yes. There are things that I can and should learn from this. And again, that requires completely disconnecting from this personal judgment aspect of it's a judgment about me, and understanding that it really isn't about you at all. It's about either the person maybe they didn't trust you, and that's a data point too. What did I do that made them feel like they couldn't trust me? I mean, what was there in my approach? Was I too pushy? I didn't listen well enough to understand their needs. I didn't really solve their problem. I didn't behave in a trustworthy fashion. What was there about the interaction? So even if you come to the conclusion that the real objection was they didn't quite trust you, failing forward means saying, okay, they didn't. Not going to the place of, oh, what's wrong with me? But wow, that's not what I intended. I wonder what I did. And then, either going through in your mind or asking if they'll talk about that. That might be a little sensitive, and a person you don't know well might not be willing to be honest about that. But going through the interaction in your mind and deciding, when was that feeling there that suddenly they weren't willing to, invest in this product or service, or invest in me, or whatever the thing is that you're selling. So that's a really powerful thing, particularly with direct sales. Now, failing isn't always about selling. So I want to talk about failing forward in another way. There was a time in my life, and I'm going to use a personal example again. There was a time in my life when I needed to lose nearly 100 pounds. I was 80 something pounds overweight, and I ended up losing 90, and I was successful doing that. But it wasn't all in a straight line. Okay, it was a struggle. I lost 40 something once, and then I gained 20 back, and so it took me a period of time. I think it was about a year to get the 90. I lost 90 and had to get 10 back. Too much, right? So the failing forward for me in that circumstance was I had accomplished something. When setbacks occurred, it's a choice whether you view yourself negatively, like I suck, I'll never do this, I'll never make it, or to fail forward, which is review the success that I've just had and say, you know what, I can do this again, I can take another bite out of this elephant. So I'm failing forward in the sense that my forward momentum is intact. My desire and commitment to keep this process going is intact. So I refuse, here's the principle, I refuse to allow a temporary setback to remove or subtract from my momentum or my determination to get to the end. So for me, failing forward means that. It's a choice. I refuse to allow a setback, however big, to derail me or to get rid of my determination to get to the goal. Okay, and then I choose, of course, to get whatever learning there is from it. And for me, that's failing forward. The third part of that is bounce back. I said fail forward, fail fast, and bounce back. Bouncing back is a mindset issue. Okay, when we fail, our first inclination as people, because we don't like to be embarrassed and we don't like to fail, is to feel like there's something wrong with us. Getting rid of that mindset, understanding that failure is part of the human condition, not achieving our goals sometimes is a positive thing, and it's simply completely normal. Again, the choice to bounce back is a choice. Now, you and I have both known people that just seem to be positive all the time. No matter what happens, they just get up and move on. You know what? That's a learned skill. Some people have more inclination toward that than others. I've known them, and you have. But you can learn to take that bounce back attitude, and here's what does it for me. What does it for me is a continued vision of that future. When I create a powerful vision of that future that really drives me, I know I'm going to get that. I'm absolutely committed to getting there. Then when I fail, when I flop, blop on the ground and it doesn't work, I just get up and I say, you know what, I'm committed. I'm committed, I'm going to get up. I'm dusty, I got to get a Band-Aid or two, got a few raspberries, some road rash, I'm going to move forward. All right, so we've come to the end of 30 minutes. I want to give our two guests here today an opportunity to say something more, but right now I want to summarize. Failure is not reaching an intended outcome, okay? We get to choose how we interpret that. It is a data point. It is not a judgment. It is a learning opportunity. It is not an indictment of our original intent. Okay, the second thing was, why is failure a good thing? It's good because it makes success sweeter. It's also good because it teaches us a process. It teaches us determination. It teaches us all of the things that are necessary to keep success in the long run. And that's amply evidenced by the fact that those that succeed right away often fail later and don't have the sort of foundation of determination to keep things pushing through. Failing fast, failing forward and bouncing back means having an attitude about failure that is disconnected from judgment and disconnected from personal worth or from an indictment of our intention. It simply means being willing to try and try repeatedly. It means to fail in a direction that maintains your forward momentum and not let setbacks stop you. And bouncing back is a choice, it's an attitude, and for me it's fueled by my firm commitment to get to that end goal. All right, open it up for comments from the two that are here today, and absent that, we'll be done. Any comments from you guys?
Well, you know, part of this thing, though, too, with failure is that, you know, any skill that you want to learn or anything you want to overcome, you know, it takes practice, you know, so if we do have a fear of failure or we're, you know, there's issues that are going on, you know, we may not succeed the first time, and we have to be okay with ourselves just the way we are, that, you know, it's okay to fail. I'm going to bounce back. I'm going to get back up again. You know, those are the hero's journey. We all want to hear about the hero's journey. We're not, you know, most of us aren't too concerned with the people who fall down and don't get up. You know, that's the majority of the population. But, you know, the fail forward, the fail fast, the fail forward and bounce back or bounce forward is, you know, one of the keys for all of us to move forward. So we're all going to fail. So do it quickly.
All right. Well, thanks you guys for coming today. We had our fun mess last night. I called it the Google Difficulty, and so we rescheduled it for tonight. I hope this helps you that watch it tonight with us and those that watch it later on YouTube. You know, results on a rampage is a saying, but it's a possibility for you. Massive, forward-moving results that are huge is a possibility. It is an opportunity. There is a formula. It's not magic and it's not luck. Results on a rampage are something you can achieve, and if it's your choice. So take these principles and move forward and get your own results on a rampage. We'll see you next week.
Hey, Kellen.
Yeah.
Hey, Kellen. You've mentioned that you're being interviewed by Sam on LA Talk Radio tomorrow.
Oh, wow, that's true. LA Talk Radio, I should have said that. I thank you. Sam Hassan, the owner of the station, at 10:15 Pacific time. I'm going to be on the Sam in the Morning, Sam and Charlotte in the Morning, their show, and on LA Talk Radio. I did my show yesterday afternoon, but I'm being interviewed on his show at 10:15 Pacific time in the morning. So if you are interested in that interview and you want to hear that, latalkradio.com, or it's a free app for either Apple or Android. You can download it on your phone. Anywhere you got cell reception, you're on the air listening to it.
iPhones, too.
Yeah, iPhones.
Sorry, on iTunes. You're going to be on iTunes as well.
That's true. All of our old results on the Rampage and every episode is now on iTunes. It's coming on Stitcher pretty quick. So if you like those things, you can subscribe to that podcast feed and get results on a Rampage delivered to you. So that, yeah, thank you, Joy, for reminding me. That's a cool thing that's just happened in the last couple of weeks.
You can hear Kellen's voice every day of the week. All of his episodes. Hours and hours of Kellen.
All right. Thanks, guys. We'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.